What is going on, YouTube? I am Lamont at large. Today we are in Elmendorf, Texas, just about 15 minutes southeast of San Antonio. Today we're going to visit the grave of one despicable human being. His name was Joseph Ball, better known as the Butcher of Elmendorf. He has been accused of doing some very disgusting acts, including murder. The amount of murders that he has committed in his life, no one really knows. It could be as little as 5. It could be as many as 15. Without further ado, let's get quickly into his story. I'm going to take you to where this scumbag's bar used to be, which is right around the corner from where I'm at right now. And of course, we're going to visit his final resting place. So without further ado, let's get to it. Elmendorf, Texas was founded in 1885 by a German immigrant by the name of Henry Elmendorf, who would later go on to become the mayor of San Antonio, Texas. So you have Texas here in the late 1800s. That's about the time that everything is starting to die down, having to do with the wars between different Indian tribes. And of course, you had Mexicans from down south of the border coming up here, raiding people's shops, businesses, a lot of looting and killing and pillaging and all that. So now here we are. There's no more wars, and now it's time to start developing the land, the area here in Texas. So you had one Frank Ball. Frank came with his family. He had at least 7 children, could have even been 8. And Joseph Ball, one of his many children, was born on January the 6th, 1896. Now this guy Frank, he comes to Elmendorf and he wants to start a business. He goes to a bank, he gets a loan, and he opens up a cotton processing factory. And I guess it was the only cotton processing factory in this area, because even now it's pretty barren. And he becomes quite successful in his endeavors. And of course, you start making money. He starts buying tracts of land, starts getting into real estate later on. Actually, the Ball family they are pretty prominent here in Texas. So little Joseph Ball, what is he like doing? What's this guy all about? Well, there's not much known about who Joseph Ball was getting outside of his crimes. But there is one thing that everyone in Elmendorf knew about little Joseph Ball, was that he loved guns. Yeah, this man loved him some guns. You know, this is a very gun-loving country that we are in. A lot of foreigners that don't live here or never been here, you guys just wouldn't understand. And he was quite good with a rifle, shotgun, any gun. This guy was an expert. Neighbors would say that he could hit a bird sitting on a wire from 50 yards away. That bird would just be nothing but feathers and nothing, you know. Loved his guns. Average student at best, wasn't particularly intelligent, but he came from a good family. His dad and mom took care of him, but he was a little odd. He was a little quiet. He wasn't what they would call, or people would call, a go-getter. So this guy, Joseph Ball, he becomes a young man, and then of course, what happens next? World War I is taking place. Archduke Ferdinand, I think that is who the gentleman was that was killed, that triggered that war, was assassinated, and the United States jumps into that war. So young Joseph Ball was drafted into the army. He goes overseas and fights for our country. There's absolutely no record at all of what he did over there, but we do know that this man is a rather good shot. He comes back to the United States, comes back to Elmendorf, and starts getting into bootlegging. At the time, into the 20s, this country, alcohol sales were illegal. So him wanting fast cash, maybe he doesn't want to work like his father in the factory doing. Maybe he doesn't want nothing to do with that family business. This man wants to get out there and be a hustler, see all kinds of women and make all kinds of big money. So this guy starts making whiskey, and he ain't just getting little bottles and just pouring them in and selling them out of the back of his pickup truck. No, this guy was moving big barrels of whiskey. If anybody in the San Antonio area wanted some whiskey, it's a good chance that they came down here to purchase some from Joseph Ball. Everything is going great in Joe's life. He's making good money. It's easy work. He's got a cool truck. And, with money, in those times being the Great Depression, hey, you're a lot more attractive to the opposite sex. And then the worst day in Joe's life, well, the second worst day, takes place on December 5th, 1933. And that is that Prohibition is finally over. Woo-hoo. Let the good times roll. Finally, you can go get a beer, go get a drink, and you don't got to sneak around anymore. So, looks like Joe's out of business, okay? No one's buying your stupid whiskey anymore. I could just go get me a bottle from the store. Well, Joe, not being a very stupid man when it came to business, him coming from a family with some kind of business acumen, he comes down to this road right here, and he buys himself a little outfit, a bar, if you will. And he calls it the Sociable Inn. He gets his county license, he gets his business license, he gets his liquor license, whatever license that they want him to have, he's getting it now, because now he is, in fact, an honest businessman. So this guy opens up the Sociable Inn somewhere around the middle of 1934. So this guy, he opens up his business, and at first it's a little slow. But then, like usual, you start your business, and then as times go on, people get acquainted with it. So in this place, he had a couple rooms. He had a room where people would bring their roosters and do a little cockfighting, right? And the other rooms where, I don't know what was going on in those rooms. Might have been a sleeping room for him. And of course, when you want to bring in the gentleman to a bar, you're not going to hire an ugly bartender. You're going to hire some women, because guys want to come over there and check out the lovely ladies, if you will. Now, as a businessman, you have to draw in the crowds. If you don't give them a service that people like or need, you're going to quickly find yourself out of business. So the cockfighting is going good. A little bit of betting, never hurt anybody, right? But things start slowing down again. And for some unknown reason, Joe could never really keep a working girl around. They would always just end up just leaving. It's hard to work for an employer when they treat their employees like crap, especially when they kill them. So anyways, in 1934, Joe gets some kind of crazy idea. He needs something to get people to come to his bar. Maybe he's not too concerned about a Tuesday or a Wednesday night, but Friday or Saturday, those are the money makers when you own a bar. Those are the money maker days, and you definitely want on Friday, Saturday, people coming into your establishment. Now, there's not much in this town. There's only about 2,000 people that live here. So I don't know back in those days how many other bars were in the area, but he had a crazy idea. He said, how about I get some alligators and build an alligator pit, and then I can have maybe an alligator show or something along those lines. So Joe, he builds this concrete pool in the back of his bar. Where did he get these alligators from? I have no idea. I don't know if there's alligators, a lot of alligators around, but he gets the alligators. He gets one big alligator, and then either the other 4 alligators were the babies or I don't know what. So he had altogether one big alligator and 4 smaller alligators. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't play. I know, I can't play right now. I gotta finish my vlog. I gotta go. If only Joe Ball were around, huh? Okay, calm down. I know. Anyways, as we continue with the story. So Joseph Ball, he builds this alligator pool, swamp, whatever you want to call it, in the back of his bar. And he builds this 10-foot high fence, I'm assuming to keep people out, or is it to keep the animals in? So he builds this, and on Fridays and Saturdays, he would have what he would call live feedings. So people would pay money, they would go to the bar, and he would charge whatever he would charge, and he would get whatever animal he could find. Now, normally, he would feed the alligators, whatever roadkill he found. But on Fridays and Saturdays, when he had it, he would find whatever animal, whatever, a dog, a cat, whatever, a possum, a raccoon. Maybe it'd be that dog over there if this were 1934. So he would get these animals and he would throw them in while they were alive to the alligators. I guess people got off on that kind of sick stuff back in those days. Well, people get off on sick stuff nowadays, but definitely back in those days, nobody really had a TV. I don't think TVs were much of a thing, and you got to get your entertainment whichever way you can. So sometime in 1934, a woman by the name of Minnie Gotthard comes to Joe's establishment looking for a job. They called her Big Minnie for short. I don't know why they called her Big Minnie. I'm assuming she was a woman of tall stature or what have you. And if you look closely at this picture of Big Minnie, you will notice, if you look very closely, that she is missing her left arm. She lost that arm in a very bad car accident, which further leads to this story and the legends surrounding it. So she gets a job at Joe's Sociable Inn, and of course, per usual, Joe, being the horn dog that he is, this guy was a total womanizing sleazeball. So they start a relationship. So they're together on and off for a few years. Barmaids would come and go. He would flirt with everybody. Sometimes they would leave on their own volition. Sometimes they wouldn't. So a woman comes in to the bar, and she's hired immediately. Joe thinks she's very, very cute. Her name is Hazel Brown. They called her Shotzi for short. So Shotzi comes to the bar, and of course, another woman by the name of Dolores Goodwin, she fills an application, so he hires her on the spot. Now you have all 3 women. You have Dolores, you have Shotzi, who's Hazel Brown, and you have Big Minnie. 3 women that, by all intents and purposes, Joe Ball is chasing and flirting with. And Big Minnie, she didn't like it. She didn't like it at all. She was very jealous, especially of Dolores, because Dolores was 15 years younger than Big Minnie. And then Joe Ball got some more bad news later on. In 1937, Big Minnie comes up to Joe and she says, "Hey, got some exciting news. Big Minnie is gonna have a mini." Starts patting her belly. She's pregnant. And Joe Ball says, "That's great. Sure, yeah. Let's take a trip." "Oh, where do you want to go?" "Let's go to Corpus Christi." So he's getting nervous about this whole pregnancy thing, because this guy, he ain't want no damn kids, So they packed their bags for a fun trip to Corpus Christi, Texas. Maybe there's a beach down there somewhere. And then he comes back by himself. And then everyone's asking, "Hey, where did Minnie go? Where's Big Minnie? Where's Minnie?" He says, "Oh, she She went on down the road, kid. Hey, none of us have to worry about her anymore. This unsuspecting house right here looks like we got some workout equipment. Nice little house. Sits on about, looks like a 3 acres or so. Well, this used to be where Joe's Sociable Inn used to be, right here. All right, good times. I wonder if that alligator concrete pool is still back there. Who knows? They probably filled it in with dirt or whatever. It all went down right here, kids. It's about as close as I can get to the actual location. It could have been more in the back. It could have been more in the front. Who knows? So anyways. So things are not going according to the Joe Ball plan. But at least, Minnie's out of his hair and Minnie's out of his hair. So now he can focus his sights on Dolores. And he ends up marrying her. I think by that time it might have been his third wife. So they get married, but he still likes to fool around with the help. Another woman by the name of Julie Turner comes in to fill out an application. And then she ends up quitting. Maybe she didn't like the job. Who knows? I don't know. Do you? So Big Minnie's family, they kind of want to know. They're like, where's our daughter? She's pregnant. We haven't seen her for a while. So they go to the Sociable Inn right over there. And they say, hey, where's Minnie? Where's she at? And Joe's like, She went off. She found a new squeeze. I guess a guy's gonna raise the kid. I don't know. So it starts looking fishy because now he's already married to Dolores, who was nicknamed Buddy. These people back in the days, they had really, really horrible nicknames. I think they, really needed to find better names for these people. So Dolores, everything's fine. They're tending bar. And then Hazel goes missing one day. She just disappears. And maybe Dolores didn't want to know. Maybe she just kind of brushed it off. Who knows? But she goes missing too. And the Julie Turner. Remember I told you just right now, Julie Turner, she came in to fill out an application. Well, she disappeared as well. So now you have 3 or 4 missing women that have somehow got a job at the Sociable Inn and they just vanish off the face of the earth. There's also accounts of people in the area just disappearing. A teenage boy who used to hang out at the bar because, he wanted to be, hang out with the adults. He went missing too. Who knows what's going on? So the police, the, local sheriffs, maybe they're inept. Maybe, people are going to the sheriff's office and they're asking, hey, my daughter, my granddaughter, they worked at the Sociable Inn and they just disappeared. So it's funny that all these people are disappearing. So the sheriffs, maybe they're in over their heads. So they go ahead and they contact the Texas Rangers. Now the Texas Rangers, they come to the Sociable Inn and they talk to Joe. Now Joe seems like a fine young man. They don't get any, too many creepy vibes from this guy. You know what I mean? So they had asked him. They said, "Hey, what happened to Minnie Gotthard? Yeah, her family's been looking for her, Joe." And Joe says, "Oh, she went out on a vacation. She found the new love of her life." And they said, "Oh, okay." They said, "Well, what happened to Julie Turner?" And I said, he said, "Julia, one night she came to me, she was really upset. And she was crying and she said, 'Look, I got into a big fight with my roommate. I just want to get out of town.' So I gave her $500 and she just left." Now, $500 in 1937, 1938, so somewhere around there, that's a lot of money. You just don't give your, a waitress that works at a bar for you $500 so she could just, gallivant out of town. So they're looking at him kind of suspicious because now there's quite a few people that are missing. I mean, it could be 6, it could be 7. Sometimes they're rumors. Sometimes people just move, and we don't have the internet, so we don't know where they're at. And then one of the rangers looks back in his backyard and sees that alligator swamp pool thing. Maybe he didn't think much of it. He goes over to just check out the alligators, and they're alligators. Has a bad smell to it, but he doesn't think nothing of it. Now, trust and believe, the Texas Rangers want to nail this guy to the wall, because as people are starting to disappear, they start suspecting that this guy has something to do with people just vanishing without a trace. But they don't have any evidence. There's no body. You know, you don't have DNA. They don't even know what DNA is. And, you know, no body, no crime, right? No body, no crime. So sometime in 1938, a man comes into the sheriff's office and he said, "Hey, listen, my sister, like behind her barn, which she was neighbors with Joe Horn, he said, Joe left this barrel and it smells awful. Like I couldn't even get near it because I wanted to vomit." So they're listening to this guy tell him about this barrel that supposedly was there. Now, you would think they would have just gone right away to go check this barrel out, but I guess they didn't. So by the time they got to the barn to see where, you know, to check this barrel out that supposedly smelled like, quote unquote, something had died in it, the barrel was gone. But even though it was gone, there was still some kind of remnants of a smell in the area. So by this time now, they're just thinking, you know, you got a lot of rumors that this guy is like killing people. And then you got those alligators in that pit. And there's rumors going all over town. Hey, this guy's killing his employees. Any woman who fills out a job application, he's just killing them and throwing them into the alligator pit. And so I guess because of that, or maybe just the constant rumors swirling around, and you know, and by this time you had quite a number, at least a dozen people from the area just all of a sudden disappear. And this story is so old, and a lot of the people that worked on this case are no longer here on this earth, that a lot of the names have been lost. So we don't have an accurate count of who exactly was missing, or, you know, who just went to Mexico. They just didn't want to come back anymore. They just left their family. Nobody really knows. But the Rangers, the Texas Rangers, they felt that they had enough evidence right now to proceed with at least bare minimum taking him down for questioning. Maybe they had a warrant for his arrest. They weren't going to go to the bar to arrest him at that time, but they did want to take him to San Antonio to question him. However, before they go to the bar to talk to Joe, they wanted to one more time approach the man that had went to their office complaining about that barrel and how foul it smelled behind the barn. One article saying that the owner of the barn was actually Joseph Ball's sister. Another article says that it wasn't, so I'm not sure. But whoever was the owner of that barn, the Rangers, they go back over there just to make sure that the story hasn't changed. And both the lady and the gentleman do in fact say that there was a barrel there, even though it was no longer there. There was a foul stench coming from it. And they just said it was so bad that it would make you want to throw up. So just with that alone, the Rangers decide, they're like, you know what? Okay, I think we're going to bare minimum definitely take him down. And we might have enough evidence to arrest him. Let's see if we can get some kind of a confession out of him. So on September 24th, 1938, they go to the bar, and by chance, Joe Ball is there by himself. There's another man that works at the bar. He's the maintenance man. His name is Clifton Wheeler. He's somewhere out in the back doing some work, maybe, you know, a little bit of a ways away. So they go in there, and Joe's cleaning up, and they said, "Hey, listen, we're gonna take you down to San Antonio. We want to talk to you about all these missing people. We want to talk to you about Minnie Gotthard. We want to talk to you about Hazel Brown. We're gonna take a ride." And Joe's like, yeah, sure, no problem. So he grabs himself a beer, chugs that sucker down like he's in some kind of a contest. He goes to the cash register, hits the no sale button, cha-ching! The drawer pulls out. He pulls out a .45 caliber revolver, and before the guys could say anything, puts it up to his head and just dumps it. Boom! He drops like a sack of potatoes. He's dead instantly. Dead men tell no tales, is what the saying is, right? So there's nothing they can do. Whatever secrets Joe Ball had, he took to his grave. So they go back on the outside of the bar, and they grab Mr. Wheeler, the maintenance man, and they said, "We need to talk, and we need to talk now." And they start putting grinding the gears, putting the screws to him, and he finally confesses. He said, "Listen, I only know about 2 murders that he committed. That is of Big Minnie and Hazel Brown, who they call Shotzi." So he said, "What did he do with the bodies?" So he takes them to the San Antonio River and takes them to exactly where her body was buried. He said that supposedly Joe Ball made him dismember her, or made him hold her arm as he was sawing her arms and legs off, and then they took a saw, cut her head off, and threw it in a fireplace. So they got her body, and then he took him out to Corpus Christi, to I think it was like a beach area, where they found Minnie Gotthard. She was buried like in the sandy area over there. And they wanted to know about the alligator thing. And I want to say, he said, "I don't know anything about people being thrown in alligator pits. This is the only 2 murders that I know for a fact that he committed." And just for him helping, him do that to Shotzi, the maintenance man struck a deal with the courts and ended up only doing 2 years in prison. And then Wheeler gets out and has the nerve, get this, he has the nerve of all things. He gets out and tries to open up a bar. And, by that time, the press had been so, drug his name in the mud, because basically you're helping him with the hiding of the bodies, that needless to say, nobody, and I mean nobody, went to Wheeler's bar. So he quickly went out of business and disappeared, moved away. Nobody ever heard of him ever again. So this is the St. Anthony's Cemetery. We're probably, I want to say, half a mile at best, maybe 1/4 of a mile away from where the bar once stood. And we are approaching the Ball family grave area. And these are all family members right over here. And right next to the gate is the grave of one murderous scum. And this is Joseph Ball. And he's buried next to his father and mother, Francis and Elizabeth Ball. And there's some other descendants over here. The Ball family, they were all successful in life. I think one of them was a high up government official. He might have worked, I don't remember off the top of my head exactly what he did, but he worked somewhere in politics. And then others had successful businesses, and they took over their father's business. And they all were good, upstanding members of the community. He was the only bad apple in that barrel, if you will. I wonder if the person that laid out flowers for these graves, I wonder if they know who this guy is. I wonder. Who knows?